Hello, sir. Welcome to
Hello.
this session and thanks for your
Thank you.
time. So, sir, we will start with the interview. So, my first question to you would be you have such a rich experience in this education sector. So, what are the key factors that kept you connected with this sector itself?
Basically, as you have mentioned, I have completed
Yes.
about 17 years
Mhm.
of my journey.
Right.
And basically, I have seen how institutions uh, grow right from the foundation stone laying. So
Right.
I have witnessed during this period. I have witnessed about five different higher educational institutions where I worked right from the foundation stone laying, and I have seen how students came in the first batch and they passed out with flying colors, and they have got suitable employment also. I have seen at least five first batches of five different higher educational institutions, and I'm very happy to be associated with presently University of Science and Technology, which is one of the leading university in the entire northeastern region, with around 5,000 students presently enrolled in the university campus who are pursuing courses in management sciences, in engineering and technology, applied biology, then applied sciences, then social sciences and humanities, including law. So I'm very happy to be associated with this university, and I'm also very happy to see that our students are passing out with flying colors, especially when I see that a large number of students who have qualified the national level competitive examinations like NET, GATE, and all other prestigious competitive examinations in large numbers, which maybe any other university in the entire northeastern region or maybe in the country, a single university has such a large number of students who are qualifying these examinations. So we get a lot of energy and motivation to work harder for the students and support them.
Okay. So basically, you feel good when any of your students, when you help someone to grow, that motivates you. Okay, that's great. So that's great. So, sir, moving forward, I would like to know that what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style? Like you are at an administrative post in your college. So how do
Yes.
you manage your entire team and entire institution?
Basically, I don't consider myself as a leader. I consider as a part of the whole team. Basically, I always work with them. I always go with them. I just don't consider that I'm a director and I'll instruct the other people and they will be working and I'll be sitting. So it's basically my main philosophy is to be a part of the entire team, and I always try to make sure that I'm a well-wisher and I'm not the one who is administering my team. I just always want to make them feel that I am also just a colleague and we have the same goal. So once a person comes and joins with my team or with our university, my first effort is to make him or her feel comfortable, and then I try to make him feel that okay, the reason for joining in this university, of course, everyone joins with personal growth also, and then there are some people who have definitely aimed to work for the education and work for the organization where they join. So basically, we try to develop a belongingness in our people, and we also like to have the feeling that everyone has got the same mission. The vision of the chancellor, for example, the creator of the or highest authority of the university, and every person at every lower level or every different level, they should also have the entire team. I mean, the entire team should have the same objective. Then only it is possible to do something good for the organization, and we can take forward the whole.
Okay,
whole
so
mission.
basically you believe in the teamwork and you take everyone along. Not you take you, as you are saying, you don't feel like a leader, you feel like a part of the team. So you
Yes.
motivate everyone to come along for the fulfillment of that purpose.
That is what I
Okay,
wanted to do.
nice to know this. So, sir, moving forward, my next question to you would be that how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administration of your institution?
Okay, you see, as far as marketing of our institution is concerned, always we we focus on the quality and holistic development of our students, because I think that is the best marketing tool. Once we can produce our students as responsible citizen, or we can develop them during this period of their studies, if we can provide them with vision, not only the degree and certificates, because certificates, who bothers for certificates and percentage of marks in industry nowadays? People always look at the quality, the personality, and the required skills of the industry. If we can develop all those things, and then I think we don't have to worry about their placements. Okay.
Sir, moving forward, like I would like to know from you that how do you strategize about the key programs and plans for the marketing and administration of your college?
Okay. So regarding the promotion of our college, I feel that the students are the best ambassador of a college, of any institutions, and this is what we believe. And we also always try to develop the students holistically, so that when they pass out from our university, they get suitable employment, and they can see them in a good position. It's not only about job, it is also about the entrepreneurial ventures, the startups, innovation, and all those things. So what we do, we try to develop them in terms of communication skills, in terms of the subject knowledge, domain knowledge, and then the whole and overall personality, as well as the skill required for the industries. And for that, we have a separate training and placement division who are working relentlessly for the same goal. And basically, what I also feel that regarding the promotion of our institutions in terms of enrollment, if we just talk about what we do, I have been receiving calls all the time, where even though my phone number is not given in any admission notifications or in any website for admission purpose, but I always get calls from the guardians. And when I ask them where have you got my number from, they say that we got your number from your passed out students. They have so happy with the institutions and the services provided to them, and always they admire the college and the whole education system in place in the institution, and they always recommend your college for our wards. And that is why we are trying to, even though we get some admissions, our awards recently, if I just talk about these calls, some students, they got government universities, or one is a private university, but when they see that okay, this university is so successful in making good results in the competitive examinations by providing free of cost coaching facilities for the students in qualifying NET and GATE examinations. We do not charge a single penny from the students for these coaching facilities. We always hire best teachers from all the premier institutions and provide them coaching, and that is why we are getting results. Also, every year the number of students qualifying NET, GATE examinations are increasing. So whereas the government universities, they are not providing these facilities. So what they do, students, when they see that okay, if I go there and join, then we will be able to qualify these examinations. NET, especially for master degree students, NET is a very important criteria to go for higher studies and research, even to go for a placement in colleges as assistant professors. So this is one thing. And second most, the unique advantage of our university is that when a student qualifies these examinations, NET examinations, for example, we refund the entire fees what students paid right from the date of admission till the last semester. So this is a
Okay, that's
unique
great, sir.
scheme. Yeah, this is a unique scheme which is available maybe only in our university. Because for a master degree program, normally fees comes around 2 lakh to 2.5 lakh. So when students qualified NET examinations and then get back at the time of receiving the award and degrees in the convocation, they just get back the whole amount of fees. And then there's something, a unique initiative for the institution. I think that also motivates our students to come and pursue their master degree from here, even though they have qualified the admission test and criteria in some government and prestigious universities where they do not have this facility.
Right.
So
So
these are all
basically,
strategies we have, for students for promotion as well.
so basically, you work on yourself so much that becomes your strategy. And
Yes.
your students only do the rest of the thing. I would not say
Correct.
advertise it because they
Yeah,
don't do
yeah.
it purposefully, but yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, like we have already talked about the curriculum.
Yes.
So now focusing on the curriculum, how does the curriculum of RSIT ensure the best practice of the industry?
Okay. So when we talk about, because we have a system of changing our curriculum, though UGC has given an instruction that every higher educational institution must change and revise or review the curriculum at least once in a period of 3 years. This is the duration deadline given by the UGC. But what we are doing, we always invite industry people and get their feedback. We have regular interaction with industry people. Of course, AICT and UGC, they have given a lot of stress on industry academia interactions and linkages, and we are very successful in making the linkage with industries. So we always invite industry experts. They interact with our faculty members and of course with students, and then we place them the existing syllabus we are offering to our students, and based on the requirement of the industry, they give a lot of good suggestions that this is the new trend in the industry which is going on, and in your next revision you can include these topics. So, and we make a note of it. Secondly, we always take feedback from our passed out students. We have joined in different industries, so we call them. We have an alumni meeting on regular basis. Alumni associations are there. They come, and during these interactions also we have a feedback system. So many alumni who are working in different industries, they suggest that, okay sir, this is a new trend, new topic going on in the industry which we did not have in our syllabus while we learn. So what we do, please include this portion in these topics in the next revision. So we also get feedback from our alumni. Third, when we have a system of collecting feedback from the teachers who are imparting the lessons and subjects. So they are also aware of the recent trends, in the particular domain. So we regularly take their feedback, and basically the subject teacher, they also give feedback. Thirdly, we have some learned parents. They also sometimes give some suggestions. And then students who are learning the lesson nowadays in the age of technology, even the students are very informative who are pursuing the course. So we take feedback from the industry people. We take feedback from our alumni. We take feedback from our teachers. We also take feedback from our parents. And then we also take feedback from our students. And then we combine together all the feedback on regular basis, and then we analyze by inviting an expert from other universities, other premier national level universities, and then we take immediate action to revise our syllabus. And this is how we are always make our syllabus up to date, industry oriented, so that students, when they pass out from here, they should get exactly the same thing what they have just learned from the institution.
Basically, sir, you take care of each and every aspect of the curriculum, all the changes, right from the pursuing students to the student alumni and to the industry people. Like, they know the gap, so obviously they can. Okay, great, sir. Great to know this. So, sir, we are since we are talking about the students, like the students who are pursuing your alumni, and you have already talked about the refund you do when deserving students prove himself. So I would like to know that any insight on how your institution could be more welcoming to the students of different economic background.
Regarding the students from economic background, we have a very standard policy of giving free education, concessional education to meritorious and poor students. And this time also, I think around 500 students who have got their admission in these categories. So we do not have only one institution, we have a network of institutions across the region. And on an average, around 20%, 15 to 20% students in all our educational institutions under our foundation called ERD Foundation, which is running a University of Science and Technology Meghalaya, Regional Institute of Science and Technology. We have CBSE schools, we have law schools, business schools, and all the pharmacy schools. These different schools we have. So on an average, 15 to 20% students are getting free education who are meritorious and from very poor background. Many students, they are strife affected. Some students are there who have lost their parents. Some students, they are from very poor background, but they are really having very good percentage in the entry level. And that is why we are helping them. And I'm very happy to note that many of our the students who are studying under this category, they're excellently doing well in their education. And many of them I have seen, they cracked all these competitive exams. They're doing excellently well in their professional field also. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so sir, basically what you're saying is, and as you have mentioned also like previously, that the refund you make when a student prove himself. So obviously you are motivating that student to do well and do excel in his own life.
Correct.
Okay, nice, sir. So, sir,
this unique scheme, refunding the entire fees to the students. We are also happy to see that some institutions, they are talking about, they have started thinking about this policy. Because it is a unique scheme. Nowhere in the country or maybe in the world where an institution refunds the entire amount of fees just because a student has qualified a national level competitive examination. So this is a unique scheme launched by
That is very true, sir. Even I am hearing it for the first time. Like I have
you'll be happy.
Yeah.
You'll be happy to know we invited in the first ceremony when we congratulated the first around 30 students who qualified in the year, I think 2015. Our chief guest, he was an education minister of a state. He came and graced the occasion of congratulation ceremony as a chief guest. And when he came to know about this scheme, that it was some in crores of rupees, the students were receiving the check from the authority just because they have qualified these examinations. Then he spoke about, for about 20 minutes only on the uniqueness of this scheme. And he said that every institution should adopt such policy so that students get motivation, and the students from the northeastern region, they can work hard and come into the national level, picture.
Right, sir.
So that is a unique scheme.
That is really very unique scheme, sir. So, sir, my next question to you, would be that till now I have understood so many positive points from you, but still I would like to know from you that what do you think should be your university's top priority over next 5 or 10 years?
Basically, now our top priority will be, we have made a lot of collaborations and we have signed MOUs with many premier institutions. And what we are doing now, we are trying to take full advantage by carrying out many more collaborative activities. Though we are conducting seminars, we are sharing faculty resources, we are inviting the faculty resources from those, but we are not able to do a lot of research based projects. So we are encouraging our faculty members to take up the research projects, keeping in view the societal problems and trying to address those issues in association with those premier institutions. Suppose we have collaboration with IIT Guwahati, but to be very honest, we could not take full advantage of that association. We have collaboration with Aligarh Muslim University, which is a leading university in the country. We are into collaboration with Jawaharlal Nehru University, CSIR Laboratories, which is the centrally funded institution in the Northeast India. We have collaborations with Guwahati University and all the premier institutions we have, and many universities outside the country. From abroad, we have already signed MOUs. So now our next priority will be to work jointly in the field of research and innovation, so that it's not only our university. We can think of the development of the whole region. We have signed MOU with Dhaka University, where we are going to work on some border issues, socio-economic issues. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes. Yeah, socio-economic issues and all this. So this is our priority in research areas. Next, we are also thinking of going for online education, because once this corona pandemic came in, I think our university is one of the first universities in the entire northeastern region to embrace the technology. I still remember, ever since in the month of March when lockdown was imposed, our Chancellor, Mr. M. Hawke, he took a serious initiative. He immediately called upon all the deans of schools and faculty members and all the higher officials in the administration, and immediately hold a serious discussion and appeal to all the faculty members to start the online classes. That time we didn't have much idea. Even our faculty members were also not ready or so much equipped with the online system of education. So immediately they responded to his appeal, and they started online education. And you will be happy to know that we are the only university maybe in the whole region to conduct the online examinations, because immediately faculty started their syllabus through online system of education. We were able to complete our syllabus in time. We conducted the examination online in time. And then you'll be happy to know that we are the first university maybe in the country to conduct the physical convocation, because we had a large number of students, around 1,600 students, who just passed out last year during this pandemic. So they were all asking and wondering how we will miss the convocation, because convocation is the most beautiful ceremony of a student, where a student comes and gets the original certificates and degree from the hands of governors and all the distinguished personalities. And then we made it possible. So we have conducted the convocation also in a colorful way, ensuring all social distancing and COVID-19 protocol.
Sir, since we are already talking about COVID-19 situation, okay, I would specifically like to know from you that what are the steps, like you are just telling me in terms of convocation and exams, but I would like to know that the entire steps and how have you managed this COVID-19 situation and ensured a continued education?
Yeah, that is what just now I have mentioned. Once the COVID-19 came in, it was just an embarrassing situation for all the students, teachers, and guardians. It was just like a panic situation, because everything comes to a halt suddenly. And then we took up the challenge. We embraced the technology immediately. Though we had some teachers who were senior. They were excellent teachers with so many years of experience in teaching and research, but with the technology or online education, they were not that much up to date. So immediately we conducted series of training programs with the help of our IT cells and IT officers. So they immediately conducted, and we invited resource person from outside. And then we developed our own university LMS system. We improved it. We had already. And then we started, networking with people from all those service providers, and we improved our existing technologies. Because earlier we had the online education system, but we did not use it so much. So Corona has made it compulsory, and immediately we took up the challenge, and our faculty members and even the students also, they started enjoying the online education. Initially there were some problems, some network issues and all, but we advised the students, if there are 3 or 4 classes in a day, initially we started with only 2 hours of classes in the first month, and after that in the next month we increased the number of hours. So we advised this to some students, they were from remote areas where network issue is there, and we asked them, you go to a place where signal is good. So students at their home the network was not good, they went outside and then they got the signal and they attended the classes and then they went back home. So this is how students also got motivated, faculties took the challenge, and they have, of course there are every level a lot of commitment and dedication was there, and in a coordinated efforts were made, and with the help of that we were able to overcome successfully. You will be happy to know that the final year students were in fact more panic than the intermediate batches, because final year students were about to pass the last year during this pandemic, and suddenly they were not able to complete even their final year projects, which is the most important thing for them to learn, and they learn the many things about the industry through the projects. Many students, they do internship during that period. So what we did, we started online internship program and then collaborated with the industries, and we were successfully conducted the internship and projects for the final year students also, and then we conducted the exams for those projects. We got some instruction from UGC how to conduct the examinations or evaluations for all those internships and projects through both online and offline blended mode, and we adopted that immediately, and then we finally evaluated the projects and internship, and students passed their final year examinations successfully and then did not face any problem. And immediately after that we were able to start the online admission when it was a very serious situation for the students of the next batches. Then UGC came up with some circulars. The students who have appeared their exam and did not get the results, they are also eligible to apply for next higher courses in any universities, and they can take provisional admission. So we should be grateful to the UGC for these visionary steps. And it helped us also to invite students, accept their applications, because immediately we opened the online admission system. Earlier we had the online registration, but this time what we have done, we have started with online admission process as well. So students, they didn't travel here physically to the campus. They first registered, and then they uploaded their documents. We scrutinized all the documents, and those documents were found okay, and we have given them approval. And in the next level, they took admission, paid necessary fees, their admission was complete. And after that, we started the online classes also. Maybe we are the first and leading universities to start the online classes. So you will be happy to know that our UG batches, they are about to complete their syllabus. So in the first week of February, we are conducting their final year first semester examinations. In many places, many universities where they are still giving admissions for the first year, we have completed our syllabus and we are conducting their examinations in the first week. Of course, the PG students, because PG students of the last year, they could not appear their final semester examinations, and that is the reason why they could not take admission. So some admissions in PG they have taken recently, and there are still some students who are coming for admission, and we are also helping them in their admission. Otherwise they will lose this semester. But we will ensure that through online system of education we will be able to complete this syllabus, and then we'll be able to complete their exam, so that students do not have to lose their time. And one more thing, if you give me time, we have approached the government of Meghalaya, because many students, they were at home for 7-8 months, and they were just eager to come to the university campus and start the physical classes. But since we did not have the permission from government of Meghalaya, and then we did not allow them. But when we got a circular again from UGC to start the practicals for the final year students and research scholars, then immediately we approached the government of Meghalaya with the same notification of UGC and MHRD, and they were very happy to give us permission. So for last about 2 months, we have called all the students of science stream and the pharmacy and all other practical based courses, including the research scholars. They have come, they have maintained all the COVID-19 protocol, social distancing, and they are doing their practicals very, very successfully, and they're very happy to do their practicals in time. Okay. Yeah.
So, sir, basically what I have understood is like you have managed the entire COVID situation very smoothly by planning things beforehand only.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, sir, till now I have understood so many positive and strength of your institution, but still I would like to know from you that what do you see as your institution's greatest strength?
Strength.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as I have said, for an institution, it is the committed faculty members and the dedication and commitment of the team in the administration, because the purpose of the administration is to support academics. This is what we feel, and that is why we have all the officers, right from the chancellor, vice chancellor, and all the registers and directors. The purpose of all the high officials and the entire team in the administration to support the academics. So we have a very good coordination among the teachers, faculty members, and the administration, and we are working hand in hand to achieve the same goal. That is the biggest strength of our university. And as I have already mentioned, that our students who are passing out every year, they are so much connected with our university, and they develop a sense of belongingness to the institution. And whenever they are into some organizations, they are representing our university in such a appreciated way that people around them, they are appreciating. Oh, you are from USTM. Okay, so you will be just I'll just give you a small example in 1 minute time, if you allow me. Recently, I got a call from a guardian whose 2 daughters studied from our university. So the guardian went to a government college for her daughter who studied the graduation from here, and putting her daughter, the same student, she was taking admission in a government college for a B.Ed program. So when the admission process was going on, scrutiny was going on, all the panel of teachers who were checking all the documents and everything, the eligibility criteria and everything, then the student who passed out from here, her turn came. She entered into the room, and then she came out just in 5 minutes time, whereas other candidates, they were taking long time. So when her father, who was waiting outside, saw her coming out in just 5 minutes, then he was shocked. He thought that her daughter's admission may have cancelled because of some document issues or some eligibility criteria. But her daughter coming out, happily and smiling. Then he asked, "What happened? You have finished so early? What happened? Anything wrong?" Then she said, "No, Papa. When I went to the panel board and they saw my documents, credentials are from USTM. So they didn't check also. They just passed. They said, 'Oh, you're from USTM. Okay, USTM is very systematic. Everything is good. Go. Done.' So they just approved my admission quickly without even checking the document." So this is what a sort of impression about the system, education system in the administration, examination system in our university, where people have developed so much of respect outside the university. So this is what we give. We feel great, and get energy, motivation to work even harder for the students.
Great, sir. Great. It is a very unique thing. I think every institution work towards it, but some have achieved, some have not. So it's great if you are one of those people who have achieved it. So, sir, now moving forward, I would like to know that another aspect of your administration is like, what are some of the biggest challenges you see for both the higher education in general and for your institution specifically, if I can ask?
No, now at this moment, if you say that what is the biggest challenge for the education system, I think we have to adopt the technology. There is no other option. Physical mode of education, and what UGC and all the statutory bodies, they are also stressing upon the same thing. They are saying that the teachers should be more technology oriented. They should embrace the technology, because in the ongoing pandemic situation where corona pandemic has shaken the whole world as well as the education system, so at this moment it is the only way out for the whole country to adopt the technology and to adopt the online education, even though there are a lot of challenges. Online education system, the way, suppose science education if we talk about, or technology education, there are a lot of challenges. Some people are, some academicians, they are also in the opinion that if we go for online education, then the students they will not be able to have that much of knowledge, and the way a physical classroom teaching gives the actual concept, and the way the students enjoy the physical classrooms where they get all opportunities to interact with the teachers in person, the same thing is not happening. But I think there are a lot of video classes available, a lot of platforms available nowadays, where say NPTEL, then MOOCs, which are developed by all the brilliant professors of especially IITs, IIMs, and central universities professors. They are also developing all those online study materials, and which are available in a massive quantity now in those online platforms. And now recently UGC has given a circular where they have given the option of all the to all the universities to instruct their students to opt for courses from those list of courses available online, so that if students do these courses online, there will be a possibility of transfer of credit to the students. Okay, so up to the say up to 40%, but many universities, they have started practicing 20% of the total credits through online. So if a student attends a courses up to 20% of the total credit of the course, then his credits will be added to his existing program, and this is how we can earn credit. So this is a great system. So but many universities, they are not able to adopt this online education. I think the biggest challenge will be we should adopt it immediately, and we should develop the required infrastructures. And you will be happy to know that in our university, we have already developed our LMS, learning management system, for our own university. Our teachers are taking all the classes through online mode. They are giving the assignments through LMS. They are evaluating the assignments, they are conducting the examinations, and they are doing the interactions through these learning management system platform. So this is a very good opportunities for us, even though practical, though we can make some demonstration type of videos we can give to the students, but of course we cannot replace the laboratory classes. If students come and do the laboratory classes and the experiments physically, of course they will enjoy, and they will learn it in a better way. But that cannot be replaced. So we have to have the physical classes, and government is also giving permission for practical classes. But theory classes, as far as theory classes are concerned, I think online education is not bad. It is at par with the physical classes. So we should adopt that. This is the biggest challenge for the whole country, and our university, we are taking a lot of effort to adopt that online education the way UGC and all the statutory bodies, they are advising.
Okay. So this brings us to the last question of the session. So, sir, we have talked a lot about the students, be it the students of final year or the new students. But for new students, especially those who have seen this pandemic, so what would you like to suggest them to this current youth and the aspiring student?
Yeah, for them, current students should be very, very optimistic, they should not lose heart. They should not think that, okay, this time the corona was there to come. No, why? It is not like that. Corona has given a shift from the physical, teaching learning to a technology-oriented teaching learning, and this is the new development what students of this current batch they are getting. The earlier students, they did not have this facility. Even I should say that if the corona had not come, the way the country has developed in terms of technology today, it would not have developed so much. Maybe it would have taken another 50 years to develop so much the way it is developed today. So we cannot only blame corona. Corona is not always curse. It is a blessing also to the effect that this country has developed just infrastructure, technology to meet these challenges. So, and even in our university also, the way I have said, we have improved a lot because of this pandemic to face these challenges and to serve the students instantly, so that students are not losing their time. That is the biggest challenge. That was the biggest challenge for us. And now we are very happy to conduct all the activities through our online platforms. So students of the current batch, I think even though they are trying to come to the campus physically, but as I have already mentioned, we have been able to, conduct the orientation classes. UGC has said that you conduct the induction program for the students. And recently, just day before yesterday, we have conducted the orientation program for our PhD students. We have a large number of PhD students who have joined this time. And then we have immediately started the orientation program, and then after that for 1 week we have conducted, it's going on, we are conducting the induction program, where we are giving them the whole vision to start their research career successfully. And we have invited people from Guwahati IIT, Professor Ajoy Kumar, who has joined recently in the orientation program, Professor Niranjan Roy from Assam University, Silchar. You see, because of this, online technology, or because of this pandemic only, we have invited them right from their own place, from their own institution, or sitting at home. They are able to conduct the session. Otherwise, they would have to come physically and then conduct the sessions. So what we have done, we had a discussion recently with our higher authorities, and they have all agreed to conduct the entire coursework for our PhD students through online mode, so that we can invite the eminent professors and scientists from all across the country and even abroad to take these sessions. So this facility is possible. This is possible only because of online education. And if Corona had not come, then maybe we would have finished the entire program with few professors and few classes locally, by inviting local people. Okay, so this is a blessings as well, I should say. Yeah, of course, it has shaken the entire country and the whole world.
Basically, what I understand is that you are such a positive person that you find positivity in every negative thing, and you suggest the same thing to the current student as well, that they should be focused and they should be positive. They will find the solution, they will find the way.
Yes, that's
okay. Okay, great sir. Sir, thank you for your time and cooperation. It was very insightful discussion. I got to know many different aspects of the same thing. So thanks for that.
Thanks for having me here. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.